Let's try that again. Hey guys, and welcome. This is Bud's Bets, the live betting show that we discuss the opening lines of college football. Not the true openers, obviously. The real openers opened about an hour and a half ago, but I feel like a lot of y'all don't have access to bet at that one book that opens out there in the desert. But a lot of y'all are on Caesars, DraftKings, FanDuel, and the assorted offshores. And as of now, it looks like there are 6 or 7 books that are up that I know most folks listening or viewing will have access to. So let's go ahead and go ahead and get into these. We will go ahead and just kind of run down the board here. A couple things I want to knock out first. First, let's go ahead and share my screen. I want to highlight this. This is something that kind of drives home the point, right? We give you these bets on the live show. You should hit them right now if you want to tail me, because they do move. And I give you the number as it's current, when I'm playing it. So let's go ahead and take a look here, though, at what we have from last week. And this is important. All right. Go ahead and share my screen here if you guys can see. Let's go ahead and full screen this. Okay, so take a look real fast. This is what we had last week on the live show, okay? Really good closing line value. Again, what's closing line value? Is the bet you placed more valuable than what you could have got if you bet it, 10 seconds before the kickoff. You want to be ahead of the market. I really think that's the only way, unless you have insider info, to consistently win in sports betting. If you guys see my results on the Locks Pod, it's not nearly as good because the lines tighten up. This is a pretty efficient market, maybe not as efficient as the NFL, but a lot of money comes in. People weigh in with their opinions, with their money, and so that's what happens. But really good line movement for the most part on the week. A couple of them that moved, big time in our favor. Oregon closed 30, that lost. Kansas State moved across 7, that lost. But here's the two I want to highlight, right? Mississippi State plus 4.5. If you're watching the show last week, you got that. Well, guess what? They closed 1.5. If you bet 1.5, you lost. If you bet 4.5, you won. Same thing here with New Mexico State over 57. That closed 63. That 6 points of line value there. Again, they only scored 62 points in the game. If you bet over 63, you lost. If you bet over 57 or anything close to there, you won. So anyway, you may not think that's a big deal. I guarantee you this stuff adds up over the course of the year. That's probably why you're watching this show. So that's kind of the first thing there that I wanted to bring up. The next thing that I wanted to bring up here is, pull up my wagers, is where to find the best lines. So I use a service called OddsJam. That's oddsjam.com. If you want to use my promo code, it's BUDE21 for a pretty steep discount. It's not a free service. It's not a joke, right? If you want the fast, up-to-date lines, if you're really serious about doing this, it is cheaper than a lot of the competitors out there, so there is that. But it's fast as heck. I find it's pretty easy to use. And if you're also into kind of arbing some of the U.S. books, you could certainly do pretty well with that. So anyway, oddsjam.com, promo code BUDE21. BUDE21. All right. And let's go ahead and get into some of this stuff. If you guys want to, if you want to just go ahead and drop what you want in the chat. I'm just going to go ahead and go through the weeknight games first because I feel like that's probably most appropriate here. Yeah, here we go. So Virginia, Miami, the line currently sits at, pull it up here. We're looking at a line pretty much around 3. A couple books are dealing 3.5. I see a couple 2.5s out there, but you got to pay some juice for it. So the market consensus is pretty much 3.5. Status here of De'Aaron King is going to be really, really key, right? Do we know what's going to happen with De'Aaron King? Is he going to play? I did see a report out there that said he's going to be out for a while. I don't know if that's a verified report. The quarterback, Garcia, who I like a whole lot, is a true freshman. I don't think he's terrible. I think he could probably operate that offense. But again, what is that offense right now? Does it have players that you really want? I don't know. Some of the receivers are kind of sketchy. The offensive line was supposed to be a strength, and instead it's merely decent. I'm also going to pass on the total there in that game of 62. If this dropped down to I don't know, if they announce King out and this drops down to anything under 60, I will probably go ahead and hit it because I do think Virginia will score quite a bit. Cool. Anyway, let's go ahead and get on to the Friday games. So I don't have anything right now play-wise at all in Houston, Tulsa. I would like to bet Tulsa basically as a 1-point favorite or better. I'd like Houston probably +6 or better if I could get that. As far as the total, nothing really there that interests me. No, actually, wait a second. No, that did steam. I do have an interest in that total right there. So, yeah, I didn't realize where that went. So I'm going to play the under 57. This is my first play here. Under 57 in Tulsa and Houston. Not a bad shot there, and something I think is pretty widely available. I see it. Fox Bet has it as well. So I'm going to go under 57 there in Tulsa, Houston. I would play that to 55. So under 57 there for me in that one. Iowa, Maryland. Let's go ahead and go to this one. Currently, Iowa is favored by, what are they, 3.5? And Iowa, Maryland, 3.5, 4. This is kind of a dead zone for me. I was looking to play Iowa at under a field goal or Maryland plus a touchdown. That's not really something that I want to get involved with right this minute. The total here is something that does interest me a little bit, but man, I just can't get there. I'm going to go ahead and pass on that. Not something I really want to bet. All right, let's go ahead and go to, what are we going to go to? Let's go to BYU and Utah State. This is one that I'm monitoring. I do think that there could be some value here on BYU, but we don't really know the status of the the BYU QB. We'll see how he goes. I'm kind of, I'm kind of skeptical on that one. So going to pass on that right now. If this does get 7, I think there's a decent chance that we will be on that. Total wise in this one, again, it's fairly dependent on the QB. If he plays, I want to play anything over 58, or anything under 58 to the over, because I do think Utah State will likely score. There's a 57.5 out there right now. There's actually a couple of them. Both Caesars and DraftKings have that as we speak. I could see that being worth a shot. Utah State last week, very bad as far as converting yards to points. Obviously, we had the over in that game, and they had 440 yards and 3 points. So not great there. Anyway, something that I'm certainly interested in, but I want a little more knowledge about the QB. And you might say, hey, if the QB gets ruled in or out, the game will move, and that's fair. I don't really want to invest in that right this second. But I do think that if you had to play this one way, over 57.5 would be the look. Cool. Air Force, New Mexico. Yeah, I understand the backup played well for BYU, but USF is pretty bad defensively. And BYU is also down some key defenders here. I over could be worth the look. Anyway, maybe I should play that over anyway. I'll think about that. Air Force, New Mexico in this one. Let's go ahead and pull this up. All right, since you guys want to know Air Force, New Mexico, I make this game. I want to bet Air Force basically at a touchdown or better. New Mexico at 14 points or better. Unsurprisingly, I didn't get any of these numbers. Total came out at 49. I want under 52 if it gets there, but I kind of doubt that it will. Let's go quickly here. This one I do have a bet on for the next one. So let's go ahead and look at Appalachian State and Georgia State. Let's find you the best number using OddsJam. All right. I'm seeing 9s right now, pretty much across the board here. And for the total 54, 54.5. I actually have two plays in this game. I'm going to play App State and lay the points, and I'm going to go over the total. So that's over 54.5 total points. That's at Caesars and I believe also DraftKings. And then I'm going to go ahead and go 9 and take App State. So App State and over the total. For me, I think Georgia State's pace will dictate this quite a bit. I think App's defense is solid, but Marshall was able to create some pretty explosive runs against them, and I think Georgia State will score. I don't know, score enough. Can we get a 38-24 game here? I think it's possible. Cool. Arizona State, UCLA. Appreciate you guys asking about that one. Really important here to note what's going on with DTR's ribs, right? We don't really know, or excuse me, not ribs, his shoulder rather. He was holding it. Obviously, he had to come off the field for one of the snaps there towards the end yesterday. UCLA did get that cover, so that was convenient for me. Man, UCLA's defense annoying. A team though that I have adjusted up based on the last 2 weeks is actually Arizona State. They played slightly better against BYU than I think people realized, and that's that 4.5 right there. Well, there's no 4.5. Excuse me. I would like to get Arizona State at like 4.5. That's sort of my buy point here, but I don't think I'm going to see that, right? Because we have, there's no way that this is going to go up until we get certainty on DTR's ribs. So I'm going to go ahead and pass and just sit for right now on this one. But there's potential for that to be something there. Total wise, nothing for me. All right, let's go to this one. This is pretty interesting. Arkansas, Georgia. No discount given, right? Arkansas missing a couple key offensive linemen potentially. We don't know what the status is of QB KJ Jefferson as far as his ability to run around. Obviously, he got whacked pretty good in that game. This is a tough one for me. If Arkansas hits 20, I will be buying Arkansas. I don't think it'll get to 20. Maybe it will. I think Georgia's defense, though, is equipped to really take Arkansas out of the game. But on the other hand, I do trust Kendall Browse to score enough points, I guess, right? To where it's not, I don't know. It's not crazy to me to think he could actually score some points there. But with their offensive injuries, I'm just not going to get involved in that one right now. My buy point on Georgia, by the way, is 14. So, yeah, there's a reason this line is this high. If it gets to 20, just hold your nose and bet it, in my opinion. But that's what I'm doing there. Okay, Arkansas State and Georgia Southern. All right, so let's go ahead and pull that up. Arkansas State, 4-point dog at Georgia Southern. Total at a couple spots, 66.5. See here, if I can spell the word Arkansas, that would be helpful, right? Why is that? Okay. Anyway, I don't have anything on this game right now. I would consider playing Arkansas State if it gets to like 5, but at this point, I'm going to go ahead and pass on that. I think the total is pretty right. So interesting comment here from Chris R. Chris writes, outside of the first quarter, A&M gave a blueprint for stopping Arkansas. Georgia has better defense. If Jefferson isn't 100%, they will struggle to score. 100% agree. How many points do you think Arkansas scores here? I have adjusted their point total down some, and I've got them at 15. So, all right. Anyway, let's go ahead and let's go to Army and Ball State. I know we had some questions about Army earlier in the chat, so let's go ahead and pull this up here. This is from Mr. Simpson. Army open -7.5. It's already down to Ball State -3.5. Is the Anderson QB injury that much of a deal? Army's offense has been great so far. Well, certainly it's not a nothing burger, right? This is getting bet down pretty hard. I'm just not really a believer in Ball State here. So, I'm going to go ahead and play Army. I'm going to go against the move. I understand betting that at what the folks got it when they got it at the 7 or what have you. But I mean, there's Army 4.5. There's a couple Army 4 right now. I don't hate Army -4. More broadly available, Army -4.5. I'm going to go ahead and put a pin in that and see if I can bet that by the end of the show. And anyway, yeah, I want to see that. Sorry. Cool. Occasionally during the show, I have to take breaks to check on a few things here. A couple people asking what time did the offshores come out with lines. Generally between about 2:45 and 4:30. They're all over the board sometimes, but plenty of legal sports books for y'all to wager at right now. The other interesting thing I think on the Army game is the total. I'm going to bet the over in an Army game. I bet the under last week. It cashed easily, right? Army pretty much shut down Miami of Ohio. I played the over 46 here. That's widely available, and over 46 to me is something that should be bet. I'm going to go ahead and italicize Army there. Let's go ahead and go to Auburn LSU. This is a fun one and one that I definitely want to get involved with. If you heard me last night on the Cover 3 podcast, we discussed LSU and how they're doing. Well, they had 3 huge explosive plays. But other than that, not much. Okay, this line is all over the place. This is one I definitely want to take right now. I'm going to take Auburn plus the 4.5 points at LSU. Obviously, I give more home field advantage for LSU than I do for some teams. And Auburn looked bad yesterday, and they pulled Bo Nix. But, man, ultimately, I trust Auburn's back 7. It's not like Penn State was dunking all over them with the deep ball. LSU's offense yesterday was pretty much 3 home run plays, and that was good. And LSU, to their credit, looks better. But, yeah, for me, Auburn plus 4.5, definitely worth the shot. Total-wise in that game, I haven't even seen a total for this. Is there one out there? Obviously, if I haven't seen a total, I haven't played it. Total, there's a 53.5 out there. That's way too rogue anyway. I wouldn't give that out, but I'm not going to play the total in that game right this second. Let me go ahead and take Mr. Simpson's question off the screen. Sorry about that. Cool. Let's go to the next one here. Baylor at Oklahoma State. This is a fun one. Some important things here. If you guys do power ratings, I am adjusting Oklahoma State's offense up, and I am moving Oklahoma State's defense down a little bit. Why am I doing that? Well, the main reason I'm doing that is because Oklahoma State is getting some of those guys back healthy on offense, and they are also losing some important players on the defensive side of the football. Some defensive linemen are out. For me, it's Baylor here. Baylor plus 4.5, at FanDuel. I haven't seen one at DraftKings yet. I know Circus is dealing, 3.5? I assume most of y'all have access to FanDuel. But Baylor plus 4.5, you do have to pay the -15 for it in a game that I think will be fairly low scoring. I haven't even seen a total on this game yet. What is it? I'm not obviously betting the total on this quite yet because it's not widely available. But Baylor plus 4.5 for me. And I don't even think Baylor played all that well yesterday. They had a kickoff return for touchdown, which is not particularly sustainable. Still, that's just – yeah, I just think that I trust Baylor in this spot. Oklahoma State, they got to face Will Howard yesterday for Kansas State. He's obviously not that great. All right, let's go ahead and go to Boston College and Clemson. This is one that a lot of people have asked about already. Boston College comes out, and they are favored by, it's like 14.5, pretty much painted across the board. Total of 46-47, basically. You guys see anything different there? That's what I'm showing here using my odds jam screen. And it's a no play for me. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to be taking Boston College. I think Boston College will be a pretty public side here. I am hoping that this total keeps dropping a little bit. I would like to play over in this game. I do think BC's defense is pretty bad. Clemson, important to know, is missing their two best defensive tackles, most likely, and they have some injury issues at linebacker as well. Vegas priced this in a way that, like, they're not going to give you a huge discount on Clemson. They still believe in Clemson's talent. So for me, right now, it is a pass. Obviously, if that total dips down, I'll look to play the over, but I'm not looking to play the 14.5. I suspect that some people will bet Boston College here because the narrative is that Clemson is terrible and BC is undefeated. If I end up betting a side on this, it'll likely be because Clemson drops down a little bit, or if I get a team total that comes out like, I don't know, BC 20, I'll likely go under that. All right, go to Navy. UCF Navy. Navy was pretty good to us last week, and this number came out 15. I don't know if y'all have seen anything else on that. Books are populating now with that. 55, 56 for the total. That's a no play for me there on Navy UCF. Look, I want to take Navy plus 20, which I'm not going to get, and I'm not going to take UCF given that the quarterback is out at anything less than 12 or anything greater than 12. So for me, that's just a pure pass on that game. Best of luck to y'all if you are ended up betting it. Here's a real game you probably will not be able to put on the big screen TV because it's just absolutely terrible. Miami of Ohio, right? Miami of Ohio, Central Michigan. Central Michigan is traveling there. I have no bet on this game so far. I basically just want to take either team at like a field goal or better, to be honest, and probably more like 3.5 or better. So maybe this will get steamed one way or another. If I can't figure out why it steams, and maybe I'll be the dummy that gets on it, right? So anyway, total wise in this game, 56.5. Lean under, not going to play it just yet. We will see. Charlotte, Illinois. Here's one I went ahead and played, and the number is still good. So let's go ahead and give out the current number, obviously, just pulling it up here on Odds Jam. And I played Charlotte plus 9. That's Charlotte plus 9 at Illinois. And I also went ahead and played the over. That's over 54.5 in this game as well. Actually, that's moving. Let's go ahead and give you the over 55 in that one. I want to give the most current numbers possible here. All right. Cool. Sweet. So next one, here's a fun one. Cincinnati and Notre Dame. What are you guys doing with this? I will tell you what I'm doing right here. I am probably going to be a Notre Dame backer this week. I was expecting potentially to get Cincinnati as an underdog, and in that case, I would be extremely happy to be on the Bearcats. But here, no such luck, right? I'm just going to wait on this. I don't really want to. If I can get 3 somehow, if people really pick up on the idea that Notre Dame is injured or in trouble, we'll see about that. Total wise on this game, if this ticks up, I'm interested in betting the under. I don't really trust either offensive line here. I think that they're both potentially problematic. So, yeah, that's my thought on that. So potentially an under for me. If Notre Dame hits 3, that's a buy point. Again, if you guys are asking questions in the chat, I'm just going kind of in order of what I like here and also what I don't. And we'll timestamp this for you if you happen to miss the show, and it'll be available pretty much immediately after. I don't know if you can tell or not, I am pretty much going in order of games that I'm already like looked into. And here's one as well for you. Let's go ahead. I'm going to play Penn State. Okay. Penn State for me, I think they should be favored by 2 touchdowns. I think that's a good football team. I think they will mostly shut down Indiana's offense, and I think they can score on Indiana. That's just kind of my opinion on that one. I'm going to bet Penn State anything under 14. So Current odds 10.5. Penn State minus 10.5 for me. Let's jump to one here because I see it moving, and I've already bet it, but I want to give it to you before you guys can do it. Going to go ahead and take Wake Forest here. That's Wake Forest. There's a 6.5 minus $1.20. There's some sevens. Seven's more of the consensus number, but if you're using Odds Jam, you can see that it's 6.5 minus 120 there. Let's go ahead and take Wake minus 7 hosting Louisville. I was very impressed with what Wake did to UVA's offense on Friday night. I got to see Louisville up close in person in Tallahassee on Saturday, and I was somewhat impressed, but also they lost an important receiver. They have a defensive lineman injured, and I think Wake is just a far more superior football team right now. The other thing here that I am taking over 60.5 points in this game. I do think that that Louisville will be forced to play a little more up-tempo than it wants to. So Wake minus the 7 points and over 60.5 for me there. Let's go to Memphis Temple. This is one that I know we got some serious degenerates in the chat talking to us. Memphis Temple, pretty fun game here. I have one bet on this. I'm going to take the under 61 points in Memphis Temple. I don't trust Temple's offense. Temple had some really important receivers out yesterday on kind of some off-market stuff. I got down on the under and the first half under in both, obviously in that Temple game against who they play, Wagner, I think it was. Yeah, so under 61 for me there in Memphis Temple is what I want. Obviously, we know that Memphis can score a whole lot. I just don't really trust Temple's offense to score very much at all. All right, let's go ahead and continue here. Where did we leave off? Oh, Bowling Green, Kent State. I mean, look, at some point, I'm going to stop betting on Bowling Green. But that point's not this week. I think Bowling Green can play with Kent State, right? I mean, they've played Minnesota well. They've played Tennessee well. They've already seen a wide open attack like Kent State runs. I mean, somewhat similar in what Tennessee runs. I'm going to go ahead and take Bowling Green plus the 15 points here. I don't get it. Like, Kent State is a good team, but I don't think they're 15 points better than Bowling Green. 15 points, pretty widely available number, as I see on Odds Jam there. And if you want to use the promo code, it's promo code BUDE21. And total-wise in this game, I think it's pretty fair, actually. 55.5, no problem. I wanted to play over 48.5 or under 59.5. Central Michigan and Miami, Ohio. Did I already go over that one? I don't believe I did. Maybe I did. In this game, I don't really have much. Yeah, I think this is the one I said I wanted to take over a field goal either side. UConn and Vanderbilt. This is gross. I think UConn finally kind of found its level last week, but do you really want to be on this? So I passed this game. I did not play this. I'm not going to play this right now. If I can get like 14.5 with UConn, I will. But man, I'm not into playing this right now. This is a game that Vandy needs. They really need to get the win here, and I don't see it. I don't see it happening for UConn. But if it keeps going up, if I can get that 14.5, which I'm not seeing yet, then I will be interested in playing that. I also haven't seen a total on this game. Well, I guess Circa has one. Yeah, most of you guys can't go get that. So I do think that I'm going to end up playing the over 51. I'm just going to mark that for when it's a little more round. I know I didn't get a piece of that. Apparently it opened 48.5 at Cirque, so that's interesting. Okay, Duke, North Carolina is the next one on my sheet. Go ahead and do Duke. Okay, line here is 18. That's basically where I make it. No play for me on that side. Total points here, pretty much right in line, 70, 71. is what I'm seeing, some 70.5. No play for me there on that one. Let's go to Eastern Michigan and Northern Illinois. That's kind of a fun one. It's made a not joke. My stream, I guess I can do that. All right, so Eastern Michigan, Northern Illinois. I don't want any part of this really. If Eastern Michigan gets to +3, I will take a piece of EMU. But right now, it's not there. Currently, Eastern Michigan is a 2-point favorite. Total-wise in this game is pretty much like right where I have it, so I'm not going to be playing that either. I was hoping it was going to steam that one way, but it's just not. All right, let's go to Florida, Kentucky. Interesting one here. I do have some notes on this. I am no longer – Florida, Kentucky even out? No, I haven't bet it yet. No, it's Florida -8 is one number out there. For me, that would be a no play, and 55.5 is going to be a no play. Let me share you a note on Florida, Kentucky. Number one, I am a little bit concerned about the offensive line of UF in this game. I think it's been a really good offensive line so far this year, but at the same time, they have some injuries. Late in that game, they had some guys go down. I don't know their status. Anyway, going to pass that one for now. On the Kentucky side, though, I'm a little bit concerned about Kentucky's passing game. It feels like Will Levis just decides, like when he gets that deep over route called, that he's going to just fire, whether it's double covered or not, like we saw last night in the South Carolina game. Kentucky is to be applauded for what they've done as far as making improvements, but there's a reason they're over a touchdown dog at home in this one. All right, let's go to Florida Atlantic and FAU. Well, that's the same team, so FIU. All right, pulling it up here, I'm seeing FAU -10, which, okay, kind of makes some sense. FIU not that good. FAU also not that good, but that's pretty close to the number I made. I want like 12 or 13 to take FIU, so I'm going to go ahead and pass on that one. Patrick O'Donnell thinks the number is going to go down for the Florida-Kentucky game. I welcome that, right? If that number goes down, that's awesome. I think Florida's run defense is not that bad, and if they can force Kentucky into more spots where they have to throw the football, that is advantage Florida. I also think Florida can score quite a few points there against Kentucky's defense. So maybe that'll be a Florida team total play for me. All right, let's go here to Fresno and Hawaii. Fresno 10.5. That's exactly what I made it. So no play for me on that one. We already discussed Indiana, Penn State. How about Kansas and Iowa State? You think Iowa State wants to have a get-right game? They've had 2 tough luck games where they outgained their opponents and lost both of them. And yet this number is exactly Vegas anticipating that. It is Kansas +33 or 33.5. That's tough. Now, on the other side, I am going to play the under here. Under 58.5 for me just makes some sense. I know Kansas's defense is not good, but I'm not sold that Kansas's offense is that good. It's not like Iowa State plays very fast. Under 58.5 is too good to pass up. So I will be playing the under 58.5. Okay, so let's go ahead and take some more questions. Have you done Wisconsin, Michigan yet? You guys want to jump ahead to Wisconsin, Michigan? Yeah, let's go ahead and knock that out. So first of all, it's Michigan at Wisconsin, and let's pull up our lines here. Then go into Odds Jam, promo code BUDE21. How's y'all's fantasy teams doing today, by the way? Mine are doing okay, I guess. So you got Michigan +1, Michigan +1.5. I'm interested to see where this line goes, actually. I don't hate Michigan here at all. In fact, my numbers say I should play it. I'm a little bit concerned that Michigan, what they're doing with their offense, they don't really seem to be able to throw the football. I don't like betting against Wisconsin in this spot that much because Wisconsin yesterday did not deserve to lose by the amount that it did. I kind of question Michigan's run defense a little bit. So I'm going to sit here and watch this one. I'm hoping it swings back. If this gets to where, it's -1 with Michigan, I'll go ahead and lay it. I'm not really in a rush to bet this. Does that make sense? Like I know I will probably be on Michigan. I'm just going to play. I think the market's going to move here to Michigan, maybe as a bigger dog than it is. Now, as far as the total in this one, I haven't actually seen a total yet. I made this total, 42? 40. I made this total 41.5. So I really don't trust either of those squads right now. Anyway. All right, let's go ahead and do South Alabama and Louisiana Lafayette, two teams that I know you really wanted to talk about. Look, I'm annoyed by what Louisiana Lafayette did yesterday. I'm not going to call them Louisiana because they kind of screwed around and messed up my cover. They had that game covered. They kind of took their foot off the gas, and ultimately I was a double loser in that game. If you go back to that graphic I had up earlier, we actually had the over in that game. It moved like 2 points, and nothing happened. Just a total shutdown there late in the game. All right, so nothing there for me on the side in Louisiana Lafayette, South Alabama. If that dips down to a touchdown, I will take USA. Anything I think more than 13-ish, I will be playing South Alabama. That's the second consecutive road game for Lafayette, but that's not really much of a trip. I mean, they went to Georgia Southern, and then they're going to South Alabama, so I don't like put any kind of additional tough road factor there on those guys. I know some handicappers do. I personally don't. Right. And I'm not seeing any total for that game right now. Totals oftentimes come later as far as being widely available. DraftKings usually has them out. Circa has them out. FanDuel has some of them out right now. I know FoxBet has a couple out as well. And I don't think the offshores have many totals out right this second. But anyway, the total on this game is 51. Lean over, but I'm going to wait and read up a little bit more on that matchup, especially with that going under yesterday. All right, Louisiana Monroe and Coastal Carolina. Louisiana Monroe, congrats to them for getting that big win. It was frustrating. I didn't bet Troy, but for season win total purposes, that was a double hurt for me. So not in love with that one. Lean under here on this. There's some 59s and a halves at the ULM Coastal. I don't really trust ULM's offense, although it does try to play fairly fast. Point spread in this game, I think it's appropriate. Like, I will take ULM plus 35 if it gets there. I just don't really feel like doing that right this second. All right, let's go ahead and go to NC State. And wait, is that the next one? Yeah, NC State and La Tech. Cool. All right, we have, I'm showing NC State -19, NC State -19.5, a couple 20s. Let's use 19.5. That's the most reasonable number out there. Not a play for me. We have some QB uncertainty with Austin Kendall, right? And I will play NC State at 17 or better. Obviously, not looking to bet on this Louisiana Tech team without Kendall, unless it's pretty high. So, going to pass on that. Total points here is interesting. I did consider going over, but it needs to come into range more, and I'm just like a point or two short. So I'm going to pass on that. But over 52.5 would be a play for me there in La Tech UAB. I don't know that there's a huge hangover factor, and I don't know how much you guys weigh that. I think with college kids, you do have to be aware, like, what's the motivation, not when the game comes around, but what's the motivation, Sunday through Friday to game plan super hard for a team like that, right? I don't know. They just got done playing Clemson. Everybody rushed the field. They got some important conference games coming up. So to me, I'm going to go ahead and pass on that. Okay, we already did Wake. Liberty UAB. You guys want to talk sicko mode here? Nice money line sprinkle there from the Cover 3 Locks pod for me on Liberty UAB, or excuse me, on Syracuse against Liberty. There is a school of thought out there, and credit to whomever said this. I actually don't know who said it, but there is a school of thought that basically UAB doesn't put as much effort into some of the non-conference games, like they got smoked by Georgia. And maybe that's possible. I don't know. But I have power adjusted UAB up a little bit, and I think this game is exactly where it should be with the point spread of basically pick 'em or a half. Already discussed Coastal minus 33 earlier. So, again, just go back and listen through if you want to. Coastal minus 33 is not a play for me. I don't trust Coastal's defense all that much. ULM is a team that will try to use tempo and score there at the end. So for me, that's a no. All right. What else do we have? Got a lot, actually. Some of the offshores are kind of coming alive now, which is nice to see. Everybody joining the party here, depending on where you play. Obviously, hope you play legally, of course. All right. So we have, where are we at now? We already did Louisville. Go to Marshall, Middle Tennessee. Did you guys watch that Marshall Middle Tennessee game? Because I did, and I was very impressed with Marshall's playmaking ability. Big time athletes on that team. Middle Tennessee State really, really struggled with the athleticism of Charlotte, and they put up some points themselves. But for me, this is Marshall minus 9.5 all the way. Yeah, I haven't seen any kind of total on this yet, but Marshall minus 9.5. That is minus $1.20. I'll note that in the Bud's Bets column, which comes out post show. I like to give you all the bets as fast as I can here in the show. I do think that MTSU is really going to struggle with the athleticism on the perimeter of that Marshall team. Total wise in this one, I'm not seeing anything that I really want to bet. We already went over Memphis Temple, Michigan, Wisconsin. We already said we're going to hold on that. Some people are betting Notre Dame here. It looks like it's down to 1.5. 2 to 1.5 is not really much of a move, especially on a Sunday. I mean, I can move a line in the offshore with just a couple bets, a couple max bets, and they'll move it. Wow, this is kind of cool, guys. Check this out. Justin Tucker hit the longest field goal in NFL history with a 66-yarder to win the game. Who was Baltimore playing? Not KC. Oh man, my fantasy team is getting absolutely wrecked. That's it's not great. We already did Florida, Kentucky. It's a pass both ways for me right now. They're playing Detroit. Okay, cool. Let's go Minnesota, Purdue. This is a game that bears watching. I'm actually looking to bet on Minnesota if this gets up to 3. I think Purdue has a lot of problems right now offensively. Unfortunately, Vegas has anticipated the same thing. They made this total 46.5, 47. I would like to play like under 53 here, but it's not going to work. And I'm certainly not going to be playing the over given these two teams. So now, point spread wise, I think if I get a 3, I'm going to fire a little bit on Minnesota. Just throwing that out there. Texas A&M. A&M again just cannot hit explosive passes for whatever reason. I don't fully understand why they don't do some different things to help out their quarterback. But look, line is 9.5. If it gets to 10, I will be on Mississippi State. That's an important number right there. I'm just waiting right now. And, I guess it actually is 10 out in the desert. I'm going to wait for that to come a couple more places. That got bet up somehow. I know Mississippi State's offensive line is not very good, but I trust Mississippi State's defense, and I don't trust this A&M team right now, personally. Now, total-wise in this game, it made it 47. That's about right. Does anybody want to talk Alabama? I feel like we should probably bring that one up if you guys are interested. Let's go ahead and take a peek. So, sorry about that. Just reading a few things here. People are already betting Ole Miss this game. Good bit. So, I do want to give you one that I think is going to move, by the way. Maybe it'll move against me. Maybe it won't. But I think it actually has a shot to move. So let's wait one more second on Alabama, and then I will drop this one. Guys, I'm going over 62.5 in Tulane, East Carolina. I think this is a game that East Carolina can actually get right. And I just, like, to me, that's something that I think the line should be like closer to 70. So over 62.5 for me in Tulane and ECU. Let's talk Alabama. What did Florida do to Alabama? They ran the quarterback. They actually pushed them around a little bit on the lines of scrimmage. Florida did not really have guys win one-on-one. They created a couple coverage busts, but not a ton on some of the option stuff that they threw the ball off. But man, Ole Miss's offense is so damn good. And yet, Nick Saban's seen it. Last year, they didn't stop it very well at all. What is the best passing team that Ole Miss has seen so far this year? Because that's my question. Is it Louisville? Because Louisville doesn't throw the ball very well. Is it who? Like, who? Is it Tulane? Is it an FCS team? I don't know. Maybe it is. Like, maybe Tulane is the best passing team that Ole Miss has seen. That's not even close to what Alabama throws out there with John Mechie and Jameson Williams and those backs that can throw the ball to and the tight ends. And, to be frank here, Alabama has already seen two defenses that I think are somewhere between better and much better than what Ole Miss has. Ole Miss has not seen a good passing offense. They have been able to pretty much sell out against the run so far in both their games, which is fine. But, like, I mean, in what world does Bama not score 40-something in this game? And I got to think that Ole Miss has a decent shot of getting to 30, which is why this total is where it is. If Ole Miss keeps being trendy and this gets under 2 touchdowns, I will take Alabama because I do think there's a shot that Bama just lights them up scoreboard-wise and that, that Ole Miss just struggles with Bama keeping everything in front of them. They've done a nice job handling that so far this year. I'm just not really sure on that they can do that. I know Corral can run the ball pretty well, but for me, at 14.5, 15, it's a pass. Ole Miss, 17.5, 18, I think you got to look at because the back door is wide open. But what I'm really hoping to get is that people fall in love with this Ole Miss team and that I can get Bama under two touchdowns because that would be that'd be pretty sweet. I mean, just 2 weeks ago, they were 14-15 in the swamp. So anyway, that's what we're dealing with there. Clemson is now taking some money there in the offshore markets. I don't know if you guys are seeing that. So it looks like that actually may get to 17, and we will see how hard that gets pushed. Cool. Let's continue and let's go. We already did that. And we did that. Let's do New Mexico State and San Jose State. All right, New Mexico State, San Jose State here. 53.5 the total. No play for me. I'm seeing mostly 27.5. Again, that's a no play for me. Pretty easy one right there. Sorry, nothing on that game for y'all. San Jose State, their offense again yesterday looked terrible. So, you know, let me see. Some people asking about the over there in that Bama game. I mean, look, of course, it's going to be high scoring. The thing is, everybody knows that. Like, it's just saying that both these teams score a lot of points is kind of priced in. I mean, 76.5 here. I think it's kind of priced in. So, Scotty Belcher says Lane Kiffin used to practice against this Bama defense. Did he? Was Lane on the staff when the current DC was hired? I don't. Maybe he was. Maybe that guy's been there for 3 years now. I'm trying to think. I don't know. Maybe he was. Anyway, I'm not going to play over 77 in that game. It's for me, it's a pass. I know everybody likes to bet the big sexy game, but you know, when you go to buy your wife a new purse, they're not like, "Sir, we do not accept money that you won on South Alabama." Right? They just say, "Hey, thanks for the cash," and she says, "Thanks. You can go back to Vegas for another trip." So, anyway, what else do we have going on here? Just looking at a couple numbers. What comment section? What are you guys already betting so far? Going on like crazy. Bama will only be challenged twice this season. Maryland money line over Iowa. Yeah, I can get with that, Patrick. I think Maryland could be live to win the game if their run defense can hold up. Certainly is one to look at there. Okay, Nevada, Boise State. I want to bet Boise at 4 or better, which doesn't seem like it's going to happen. And I want closer to double digits with Nevada, but that's also not going to happen. Doesn't look like. So here's a team. Let's go to Nebraska Northwestern. A team that really kind of messed with me last week. Northwestern looked a lot better against Ohio. Ohio looked absolutely terrible, though. Didn't help me get to that over at all. Had nice closing line value on both games. I think we bet 15.5. It closed, 14-ish? And then I had over 46. It closed 47.5, 48, I think. I think there's actually maybe some value on Nebraska here. Nebraska has played a lot of teams pretty close, and I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with betting Nebraska at 9.5. By the way, that 3 for Minnesota I told you all I wanted, it just popped. So hitting that there. All right. So we got that Minnesota +3. Cool. Let me see, what else do we have here? A couple. All right. Going back to that. Looks like there was some resistance given on the on that Clemson offshore money that was coming in. Always interesting to see when you pop a bet in and you get some resistance on it. So anyway, Northwestern and Nebraska, as I was saying, I actually think Nebraska -9.5 here is fairly live. I don't really trust Northwestern to score or to stop Nebraska. I think Nebraska can probably bully them at the line of scrimmage. So for me, Nebraska -9.5 actually is a play. I was hoping to get a little better number, but I'm just not going to risk it because it's on the right side of that key number of 10. Obviously not a insanely key number, but one of the more keys there. Just looking at some more stuff here. All right, speaking of the team that really kind of screwed me this week, in addition to Louisiana, Ohio visits Akron. Akron. You almost covered against Ohio State. And, didn't do it. Brandon asked, by the way, what's your high number on Nebraska? It's 10. I would still bet them 10. I just 9.5 is certainly preferable there. UConn is really a pretty bad team. Now, I think Vandy is probably pretty bad as well, but there are differences. UConn was pacing to be the worst team Bill Connolly has had, I think, since like World War I. So that should just tell you something here. In any case, Akron drops a touchdown to cover. They also give up a late touchdown in that game against Ohio State when Ohio State didn't even have its starting quarterback. So kind of frustrating there, certainly. And yet, I may end up betting Akron. We'll see. Now, I'm not going to bet them today, but I may end up betting Akron. If this gets to like 11, I could take some Akron. Akron's not good. I've already adjusted the crap out of them, and they still continue to not cover lines. Bet against them a couple times this year already. But in this case, I could see myself maybe jumping on a little Akron plus like 10 or 11 if it comes out like that. I could get with that. Here's one, by the way, I'm going to play right now. I am playing Pitt minus the 3 at Georgia Tech. This is one that I really I was hoping to get, and I'm glad that it came out just as I said that. Minus 3 at Georgia Tech for me is a play I really like, and I think Pitt will be able to move the ball pretty well on Georgia Tech's defense. I also like the over 58 here in that game. Over 58 in Pitt, Georgia Tech. I think Pitt will be able to put up pretty similar number of points. I think Georgia Tech will also score at least somewhat. And obviously, you can pretty much bet that I will follow up with a Pitt team total as well in that game at some point. So over 58 and Pitt minus the 3 for me. All right, cool. Let's go ahead, and we had to skip over a couple of those. I just saw that pop up and wanted to let you guys know that is at it's at the first offshore to release. So think about it. Cool, or at least the first one that I know of. Louisiana Tech, NC State is popped up now as well. That's a nothing burger for me on that one, as we discussed. Cool. Let's go ahead and do a couple more here that we need to get to, and then I didn't really think this would go this long, but I guess I'm just able to talk for an hour. Hate to talk. Ohio State and Rutgers. You guys seen a number on this yet? So far, I'm not seeing anything that's actually available much at all. Number out in Vegas right now, one book is 16.5. That's basically kind of close to where I made this thing. I think I made it 17.7. So if I had to bet it out there, like gun to the head, I would do it. But I'm not going to be playing 16.5 right at the second, especially because I don't know what's going on with CJ Stroud. Total 56. Again, going to pass on that. And yeah, just not something I'm really interested to get involved with right now. I know, shocker that Bud Elliott's not betting against Rutgers yet this week, but I certainly could at some point. Let's talk about sort of the game after the game. So the game after the game that your backup quarterback fills in and plays well. I'm talking about Kansas State, and I'm talking about Oklahoma. Oklahoma travels to Kansas State, and for me, this is something that is tough to gauge because I don't think Will Howard's very good at all, right? Oklahoma, though, is missing some important defensive linemen. One of their best safeties got hurt in that game. I believe their leading tackler. The offensive line doesn't look that good. Spencer Rattler, gets a lot of criticism, including from my co-host on Cover 3, Tom Fernelli. But I don't know that it's unjustified, right? But still, that Oklahoma defense looks really, really good. I'm not real confident that Kansas State can score the ball effectively on Oklahoma. So for that reason, I am going to pass on the side in that game. Total-wise, this is kind of crazy to see an Oklahoma total in like the low 50s, but here's where we are. So I'm going to pass on that as well. Okay, staying down the list here. Let's go to Old Dominion. Old Dominion, a team that I think I will probably end up being right on as far as my season prediction for them. Again, I'm under 3.5 and pretty heavily under 4.5 on their season win total. But they playing better. Darryl Mack is a decent quarterback for them. He runs around. He makes some things happen. I can understand, kind of what they're doing. UTEP, meanwhile, does not look very good at all. UTEP is still favored by 4.5 points in this game, which makes sense because Old Dominion is pretty bad. I'm going to go ahead and pass on this. If for some reason this total plummets, right? If a 47 flashes or a 46 especially, that will be something that I'm interested in popping. Oregon Stanford is another one. Did you guys watch the Oregon game last night? Because I did. I don't see a line. Let's see here. Got it now. Well, I can tell you I kind of wanted to bet Stanford here, but not at the number that they threw up, right? They threw up 7.5. I don't know what this opened at. Looks like it opened 8. Stanford is a decent team. It's not great. Oregon has some key defensive injuries. They lost another linebacker last night. Kayvon Thibodeau is kind of questionable. I know he left the game. I don't know what his status is going to be. Arizona really was able to kind of bully Oregon in a way that is concerning to me. Oregon offensively, it's weird, man. It's like it looks like when they have a plan and they want to go execute, they can play really, really well. See also what they did to Ohio State, but they don't bring that every week. Look, if this goes and gets down under a touchdown, I will be on the public Oregon side. But as of right now, it's probably a no for me at this point. We already talked Pitt, Georgia Tech. Let's talk SMU USF. See what you guys are on there. SMU USF. All right. By the way, for those of y'all who do play in the offshore sandbox, we have App State and Georgia State just flashed as well. So if you want to take a little extra or take the first bite on that, certainly it opened 9 and 55. So I'm already on again over 54.5 and 9 there in the App State Georgia State game. SMU game here. Why is it a no play for you? I'm seeing some people say in the chat that it's a no play. Although John Schaffler said he's going to bet his sports car on SMU, so that's pretty solid. SMU. All right, point spread in this game is 19.5. I know USF's gotten better. They really have. And I know this is a definite kind of look behind spot. But I'm really considering betting SMU in this game. I'm going to read up on it a little bit more. Bentley's going to play. All right. We'll see. I'm considering betting on SMU in this game. Total wise, I think it's largely about right. I would consider playing the under 69.5. I just want to see a little bit more of that. But I mean, USF can score. SMU's defense is not that good. Mordecai can play pretty well. All right, I think you guys are convincing me. Actually, I may go ahead and fire on SMU here. Should I do it? Would you guys bet SMU? Let's see what you have to say about that. Mordecai's efficiency might be his weakness. Yeah, I know it. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and fire it up. SMU minus 19, guys. That is in SMU minus 19. See if they can get enough stops on USF. Let's see if they can have some focus. Clearly a game there that I could get burned on. All right. People want to know more about this over-under for Michigan, Wisconsin. I want to play, like this early in the week, I want to play under 46. So, no, not going to be playing the over. All right. What else do we have here? Let's go to Rice. I know my friend Josh Pate has already bet. I think he bet Rice in this game already. I have no play here. I could see an argument for betting Southern Miss plus the 3. They're coming off the Bama game. Ty Keys may be improving somewhat, I guess. Rice is like not a good team, but they're not, bottom 5 nationally. I'm going to wait on this a little bit. I think I don't know what to do with this, to be honest. I don't have answers for all these games. We already talked UTEP for sure. So UTEP we passed on if you guys are just asking about that. Presbyterian Morehead State. Probably the over, right? Presbyterian never punts. So they try to play super efficient game style. All right. You guys ready for a total sicko game? We haven't talked FSU Syracuse yet, but we should. We should. Look, Syracuse can't move the ball. FSU can't move the ball except with explosive plays. So that's something. FSU can stop the run pretty well. Like they did a nice job stopping the run against Louisville. They stopped the run against Wake pretty well. They have some legitimate dudes up front. We don't know if they're going to get Fabian Lovett, their nose guard, back yet. I've told you all to bet Louisville, and I've told you all to bet Wake the last 2 weeks. And those cashed easily, as did the alternate line, so at the nice juice. This one, though, I don't know. I think that this is actually potentially something. And Tucker's a good running back for Syracuse. I will say that. I'm just not in a huge rush to bet Syracuse here. Maybe I should be, right? But FSU has done a decent job against better rushing attacks than Syracuse has this year. And, I don't know. I'm not in a huge rush to bet Syracuse here. Anyway, as far as the total, I actually thought about playing over. I know both these offenses are not very good. I would like to play like an over 51, over 50 here. So anyway, yeah, I'm not totally against the Syracuse play. I'm just not. I don't know. Something smells kind of fishy about that. I'm kind of questionable there. All right, a couple more here. Let's go to Tennessee and Missouri. Rocky Top, except it's in Missouri. Tennessee got beat up like crazy against Florida. I don't know if you guys saw that game or not, but Tennessee, we don't know the status of Herndon Hooker. Tennessee had one of their offensive linemen go down. They had their nose guard go down in that game. I actually think that there's some value on Tennessee anyway, but I'm going to pass just for right now. I know it's been getting bet down like a little bit, but I want to see where that goes. Ultimately, the line currently 3.5. Game total here, I mean, they made it high. I made it high. They made it 64.5, 65. I made it 66. So, do with that what you will. If Joe Milton plays, I think I'll probably end up betting Missouri because I don't think Milton is accurate enough to make a difference. Let's go to TCU and Texas Tech. All right, TCU, Texas Tech here. Current line is what? All right. TCU, Texas Tech, current line looking at 4.5 4.5 for TCU Texas Tech. And yeah, Dominic, yeah, we're passing on FSU Qs for right now. Maybe I'll have a midweek play on that. So I got TCU catching 4.5 points there. They're at home. They have a propensity for giving up explosive plays. Texas absolutely just crushed Texas Tech yesterday. I took a double loss on that. I had a really nice bet on Texas Tech, and it just, I think I had them plus 12, and they closed obviously not plus 12 and ended up just getting crushed. And I had the under in that game, so clearly I have no idea what I'm doing with Texas. In any case, I'd like to bet Texas at 3. 4.5 is going to be a pass for me at the moment. Total points here in this game, I actually think I'm going to bet the under 67.5 in this Texas game. I just think is too much. I know that obviously TCU's defense has been problematic, but for me, I just got to trust my numbers. Under 67.5 is the thing that I want here in Tuck. That's tough to say, given that Texas just scored 70. Cool. All right. Give me a second here. I bet them 12. Cool. Got that. Man, hope you all popped that Minnesota one we gave out. That's already moving a little bit too. Minnesota might close as a favorite there. That would be surprising. So Mike Doty asked a question. You don't think Texas nails a ton of big plays against TCU? I think it's possible. TCU's given up a ton of big plays all year. I got to yeah. Hold on a second. Dominic asks, how did you get under 62.5 in Bama Ole Miss? My book has 76.5. I did not get that. I don't is that a reference to something I said on the show? I don't think so. No, it's not 62. First of all, I would never play under 62.5 in that game. So no, I have not played anything on the over under in that game. And as far as I know, there's no 62.5. So just to let you all know on that. And looking at oddsjam.com using my promo code BUDE21. No, I also don't see any 62.5. So if I misspoke on that, sorry, Dominic. I don't think I did. Maybe that was somebody from the comment section. In the desert, I think that opened at like 80 or 79. So in any case. All right, let's do a couple more here as we ride out. Again, we already hit Tennessee, Missouri. We already hit Texas. Texas Tech, West Virginia is one. I don't know what the heck is going to go on with this game. I think 7 feels about right, though. West Virginia's offense is not very good. Its defense is pretty good. We'll see if Texas Tech can get up off the mat. I kind of have my doubts. There's some 57.5s out there. I would be interested in playing some under at like 58.5, 59. So just keep that in mind. If you see that pop, I'm not seeing that. Anyway. Some people took Qs plus 4 against FSU. Vanderbilt minus the 13. I'm not really interested in playing that. I want to see a little more out of Vandy right now. Toledo U Mass is a kind of interesting game. If you guys are like total sicko mode with me here, let's go ahead and do that. Toledo U Mass, current spread 26.5. If this hits 28, I will bet UMass, even with the backup quarterback, right? Just going to do it. Cool. But it's not there yet. So not going to bet it just yet. Now, as far as the total points here in this game, my buy point on the under is 61. So we'll regress that to market a little bit throughout the week, and we'll see what happens. But, yeah. Mike wants to know, how do you gauge teams losing stud quarterbacks like Dylan Gabriel, D.R. King, and also Haynes King? To the extent Haynes King is a stud, not totally sold on that yet, but we will see. In any case, you basically just have to reduce your power ratings, both your offensive rating and your overall ranking, and that should be what guides you on that one. Nice. By the way, more Wake Forest 6.5 just showed up in the offshore. If you guys are interested in that, I certainly am, especially at minus $1.05. So pretty fun stuff there. Got a couple more here that we will need to discuss. Kansas and Iowa State, 34. We already hit that. Just looking at some different numbers that are popping over here. What else do we have? So let's go ahead and do this one since it just opened. Western Michigan and Buffalo. Western Michigan, Buffalo. Interesting game here. I do not want anything to do with the 7 as far as the total, but I could see why some might. Here we go. Sorry about that. Just had to get some more stuff in. However, on the total in this Buffalo game, Buffalo is kind of confusing to me. Yesterday, they did not deserve to have that huge lead. I did bet Buffalo minus the 11. And, yeah. Oh, I see Wake's already moving. So, you guys do know where to find the right spot. That's good. Cool. 49.5, 60.5, kind of my buy points there on that. Buffalo did not deserve to have that huge lead that they had yesterday, right? Yeah. I don't know why guys, this is a gambling chat. I don't care if they booed Spencer Rattler or not. I'm just trying to make some money here and to get some good numbers that will move in my favor. Cool. What else do we have? Some Ohio State 15 right there. If you guys want any of that, I do think that's actually something that is worthwhile. I just took a piece of Ohio State. Minus 15. That's by far the best throwing team that Rutgers will have faced. So there it is. I am betting against Rutgers again this week, as I promised to do at some point, pretty much every single week until they, start scoring some points. Let me see here. Anyway, Western Michigan's a better team than Buffalo is. So that was the last thing I was going to say on that. I have a couple more things on my sheet here to get through. We already talked Tulane and East Carolina. We bet the over 62.5 on that. So one that is just purely a numbers play. Cannot get away from this team. I'm going to bet them again. Ugh. Guys, Troy can't score, right? And yet my numbers still like Troy here. +8, minus $1.10 at South Carolina, right? I'm going to have to fire on that. It sucks. I'll probably lose, but I got to stay. I got to, stay true to the system. Oh, got to adjust the power ratings of a quarterback getting booed. Yeah, that's probably true. A couple more here. So UNLV, Texas, San Antonio. Do we know the status of UNLV's quarterback? Has anybody actually seen that? I'm kind of waiting to see what happens on that one. All right. Just looking here. A couple other things. All right. Anyway, going to wrap this up. A couple more games to talk about. So UNLV, Texas, San Antonio. I'm not seeing any line for that right now at places that I can get down at. Probably because of the no, there's a couple, but I don't know the status of that quarterback. UTSA is actually probably worth a look right there if you can get them at like 19, something like that. We'll see. I'm not going to play that just yet. Point spread wise, I want the under 60.5, but maybe the way I'll play this honestly is just UNLV team total under when that comes out. certainly not out just yet. At some point, do you have to bet USC against Colorado? Because I think you might have to. But it's 7. I don't know. Like, it's not a terrible buy point. Colorado just can't seem to score right now. But how do you trust this USC team at all? So I'm going to pass on that for now. Maybe I'll add it later. Just want to kind of check some more stuff. Some people saying they see Fresno -11. Yeah, I don't really want to play that. We already did Western Michigan, Buffalo. Did we do Western Kentucky, Michigan State? I don't think we did, right? Pull that up again. oddsjam.com if you guys are interested, and promo code BUDE21. So this is actually getting a lot of love with Western Kentucky on the road at Michigan State. And I'm just going to be content here to sit this out. If this gets down to a touchdown, I will be playing Michigan State if it gets down to a touchdown or better. So, all right. And then for the total on that one, 59, 60.5. I don't know. I just can't get there right now. I do think that under is worth a look too in that one. I don't know. What do you guys make that number? A little sketch on that one. So Washington State, Cal. I'm not going to bet Cal at 7. Washington State is a team that I think might have some quit factor in it, right? I will probably bet Cal some on the alternate line because I do think that Cal will not quit, and Washington State, I think, has some give up factor in them. So, yeah. Last one to go over here. Cool. Washington State, if I can get this to go, is Oregon State. So, Washington, Oregon State, 7.5. 1 is what I'm looking for. I think Washington can stop the run decently, and I'm a little surprised that this is as low as it is. But Washington did just absolutely house SC in the Coliseum. So, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with this one yet. I'm going to wait on it, but more likely to be on Washington than Oregon State here. Important to note, Washington actually lost 2 key defenders. Their corner and their slot corner are both out. So, yeah. Did we do Utah State? I think we did do Utah State, didn't we? Yeah, we did. We did Utah State. Talked about how the over 57.5 there for BYU is what we wanted. MSU, no first downs in the second half last week, 45 total points. Yeah, I mean, I think Nebraska's offense is not quite as good as Western Kentucky's as far as like a total output because they're going to play a good bit faster. So, Auburn fired their receivers coach. Okay. I don't think Auburn has very good receivers as far as talent to work with anyway, compared to the SEC teams they have to play. All right, y'all, really appreciate that. Enjoyed it. I'll keep getting better at these, I think, and maybe we'll organize it and go like conference now that conference play is starting a little heavier. But I appreciate everybody watching. Hour and 25 minutes is kind of a long time to go with no commercial breaks and no co-host on this thing. I appreciate you guys watching, and make sure to tell your friends. Again, if you need a line service, obviously, I think OddsJam is the way to go with that. And I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I'll have the Buds Bets column up this evening, recapping the show. And again, that's where all the future plays will be seen as well. Follow me on Twitter at BudElliott3. That's BudElliott3. And I will, as always, I usually tweet that article out when I add anything to it. So appreciate it, y'all. Take care.